And good evening, everybody. The news station going wall to wall with coverage of Hurricane Dorian. I'm Danielle Knox.
And I'm Stephen Houck. We continue to follow this. A live look now at Daytona Beach shores. Hurricane Dorian bringing high surf, strong winds, and rain to the Volusia County coast all day long. We continue to monitor every development with Hurricane Dorian.
We certainly do. Let's get right on over to Chief Meteorologist Glenn Richards, who's got the very latest. Glenn, good evening.
All right. Good evening, Danielle. Stephen, right now, again, Category 2 hurricane. This is, again, Dorian that continues to move mainly north, but a little bit just to the west of due north. So, again, right now moving at about 350 degrees, give or take a little bit, not 360. 360 would be fantastic. But with it moving a little bit just west of due north, that means as we go through time, it's actually going to get farther and farther away from the east coast of Florida. Right now, we're looking at the system being about 110 miles off the shoreline right now of Brevard County. Right now, the hurricane warnings do continue. There is the potential for some hurricane force wind gusts. None have been reported yet. It is still possible that we will, but again, it will be mainly due to these big bands, these showers hitting and grazing the coastline, and they're out there right now. So we're kind of transitioning more into what we call nowcasting, or in other words, tracking what's happening right now as opposed to forecasting into the future. So here's what we have right now. Again, we have some bands of heavier rain, again, blowing through Volusia County, also through Seminole County. So you are getting some wind gusts right now that are getting, at least along the coastline, over tropical storm strength. Anytime you see that little icon with the red swirl in it right there, or the white swirl and the red icon, that's an indication of winds of at least 39 miles per hour blowing in with these bands of showers. Earlier today, we did have one tornado warning. We had one area of storms that was rotating offshore, but by the time it hit the cooler waters just off of our east coast, that storm weakened, fell apart, and again just produced some gusty winds, but again had not enough rotation in it to produce even a funnel cloud. So again, it was Doppler indicator. All of the, again, the indicators are for some tropical storm force wind gusts kind of popping up right now. No hurricane force winds, and again the heavier rain is moving ashore. This is the actual western edge right now with the main rain shield, and that's the reason why we are calling for about 3 inches of rain along the coastline, with lesser amounts, of course, as you go farther inland, with very little rain actually west of Orlando. So right now, back again across southern Brevard County and Sebastian, you have some pretty heavy rain again in our velocity mode right now. We're looking for any rotation. Again, we're not finding any. Earlier today, we did have some rotation coming out of that cluster right there, again, moving from north to south. By the way, all the individual showers that we are tracking, they're moving at 65 miles per hour. That's how fast they are moving. The upper level winds are steering them that quick, but the surface winds, of course, are right now much less than that. But it doesn't take much to take that wind energy from aloft, drag it down to the surface, and all of a sudden you get yourself a 65 mile per hour wind gust. No rotation right now up in northern Brevard. Offshore of Volusia County, again, some individual showers, but again, no rotation found within them. There is the eye of Dorian right now working its way almost to the due north. So it's great because we can track it with radar, but it's unfortunate that it's so close that we could track it with radar. But again, it's just far enough away. Right now, the center is 110 miles out. Just to let you know, the actual hurricane force winds are just right here around the eye wall to the west and also to the north right now. Also, tropical storm force winds get just to about this point. You have to go out to about 20 to 25 mile per hour, 20 to 25 miles offshore to actually hit sustained tropical storm force winds. So let's track some of the heavier rain. This one here, some heavy rain quickly blowing to the south, and again at 65 miles per hour. Floridana Beach, Sebastian, and Vero Beach farther to the north. Also some heavy rain just offshore, beginning to move now, so it'll be picking up in Merritt Island, Rockledge, Vieira, and Melbourne. So again, when you see the yellow, that again is going to be your stronger winds again with that, and then in between you get that little break. And again, if you've been through a tropical system before, you know what it's like. You kind of get that pounding motion. You'll get or the pounding winds with kind of an interval of about 5 to 10 minutes. And this is the reason why. You'll get these bands that come in the yellow, and then you'll get a little break, and then you'll get another band, then you'll get another break, and then you'll get another band. So again, they continue to move on through. That's again just because the wind is blowing so strong across the atmosphere, it causes an oscillation. So again, when you get that oscillation, you get stronger winds, you get more uplift going on. So in turn, again, it's all because of just the strong wind field that is going on. These showers here, again, not producing any lightning. They're coming in more out of the north and east, where the showers right now in Brevard County, the rain, is coming in from the due north. So again, this is coming in from the northeast. So Mims and eventually into Altamont Springs, the rain's really picking up. Oak Hill right now, and in Mims, you currently have some light showers. But again, this next little wave right here in yellow is moving at you. So again, we're looking at a weakening, slowly weakening hurricane. This is Dorian, 110 miles, at least the center right now, off of the southern Brevard County coastline, right around the Melbourne area, Melbourne Beach, I should say, and Satellite Beach. So that is just how far offshore the center is. You can see the wind field in yellow showing tropical storm force winds, again, hitting Brevard and Indian River County right now. This will continue to slowly move north. This will be about 2:30 in the morning. So you kind of see where the center is going to be. The center by 2:30 should be even with about the Cape. So we'll be looking at some of the strongest winds hitting there. But notice as we head towards, again, around 2:30 in the morning, the winds out across Brevard County and Indian River County come in from the west. So right now you currently have a storm surge of about 3 to 4 feet. Within about another 2 to 3 more hours, you'll actually start to see the wind shifting a little bit, and all that water is going to rush right back out. So your storm surge will start to drop in a few hours. As we get into the latter part of the overnight and first thing tomorrow morning, this will be about 10 a.m. Again, the center of circulation will be up to around the Daytona Beach area. And again, at that time, we're expecting to see the strongest winds in Flagler County. So again, it's slowly working its way from south to north. Winds in Orlando, all of Brevard County, and again, all of pretty much inland central Florida. Your wind is going to be coming in out of the west. And then as we head into tomorrow evening, the center is going to be up around Jacksonville. Still some tropical storm force winds in Daytona, also into Flagler County. But as we head towards around 8, 9 o'clock in the evening, your winds also will eventually come back around from the west. So again, some good news here. It looks like, Danielle, Stephen, the center is weakening. The eye is having a tough time even staying organized. But again, we are definitely going to be dealing with those tropical storm winds as we go through the overnight hours. Potentially, we could see an isolated tornado form. But again, when you're on the west end of a system like this, it's really hard to make tornadoes. So again, but we'll be monitoring them because, again, all those showers, those rain bands are moving so quickly right now. So again, that is the main threat as we go through the overnight.
All righty, Glenn, thanks for that update. Our team coverage continues now with the news station's Holly Bristow in Daytona Beach. Holly, what are the conditions there in Volusia?
I can't really hear you guys, but I can tell you that things have just really started to rock and roll out here. The rain started about 10 minutes ago. I've been playing with the anemometer. My highest wind speed rating's been 38.2 miles per hour. You'll get lulls where it's like this, and then you'll get some nice strong gusts coming through here. Mike, my photographer, says down in the distance he's seen a couple of big kind of pops back there, which typically means that there are some power transformers that are starting to blow as the wind picks up here in Daytona Beach. The good news is we haven't seen anybody swimming, but it is dark now, so hopefully people are really smart enough to stay out of the water now. And we really haven't seen anybody milling around here in the last hour. Just one guy out here taking pictures, but I think he lives in the building behind us. I did talk to a Daytona Beach police officer a minute ago. He said for the most part, it seems like people are adhering to the curfew. It sounds like they had one guy that was pulling on some business handles down in the down near Seabreeze, and he said that they did arrest that man. But for the most part, people do seem to be adhering to the curfew. We talked to a guy earlier, and he said he was out until right at 6 o'clock when the police told him to go home because he was just tired of being in his house.
There's nowhere to go, so we came down here because we know there's a curfew at 6 o'clock. So we were like, we just wanted to get out of the house before we knew we were going to have to stay in the house for another 12 hours, which we've been doing for the last day and a half.
Now, typically at this point in the storm, you'd see sand starting to blow everywhere, but the tides have been so high here in Daytona that all the sand pretty much up to the seawalls is wet. So thankfully, we've been saved, at least for those of us reporting out here, from sand blowing in our faces, which makes things a little bit more pleasant when reporting on a storm. But it looks like the tide is coming up pretty high already, and they are expecting it to be up to the seawalls in just a little bit. I think high tide is around midnight tonight, so we'll certainly be keeping an eye on that. Woo, we just started to getting some more big gusts out here. So again, the storm is just really starting to hit Daytona with these higher wind speeds coming in from the ocean. So we'll certainly be out here all night. We'll let you know how it's going.
All right, Holly Bristow live there in Daytona in northern Volusia County. Down the coast, still in Volusia County. The news station's Robert Guadarrama live in New Smyrna Beach tonight. Robert, what's the situation there?
Hey there, Stephen. Yeah, we just learned from the city of New Smyrna that they are shutting down the causeways here. We're at the base of the North Causeway that, of course, comes over the Intercoastal Waterway to New Smyrna Beach. It is being shut down, both North and South causeways, due to wind concerns. Now, right now, we're kind of experiencing a lull in the wind, but boy, let me tell you, a few minutes ago, we were down on the beach and we were getting slammed by heavy wind and rain out there. So it's coming in bands, as Glenn has been explaining to us. All of a sudden it'll hit. Right now we're not seeing one of those bands, but you can see it's still windy out here and we're still getting some rain, but all of a sudden it could change and turn very serious very quickly, and that is why the police and city here of New Smyrna is shutting down both causeways. They won't be reopened until FDOT determines that they are safe to do so and that they're structurally sound. We're going to stay out here and continue following this. Right now I can tell you they're blocking off the west end of the causeway, and we're expecting them to do the same thing here with barricades on the east end. Reporting live in New Smyrna, I'm Robert Guadarrama, Fox 35 News.
All right, Robert, take care out there. And we do have some new video that we want to bring into the newsroom to you right now. A woman in the Bahamas surveying the damage from the storm. Let's go ahead and take a listen to that.
All right, so we're up here on the deck where you finally got a little bit of a signal. It is still definitely a tropical storm going on out there. I can barely see over to Lovers. I used to be able to see Scotland Key, but it's gone. At times we can't even see across the harbor into parts of Hopetown. It's definitely still windy, still crazy. I just did an interview with weather.com. They have told me there's U.S. Coast Guards on the way. I did see personally a helicopter fly by. I gave them the thumbs up, so I know that they're responding. They're on their way to us. I have heard hopefully there are supplies. I'm fearing for Marsh Harbor. I've heard Man o' War, there's 2 houses that have roofs on it, and I have heard that all of the Albury's and GNL ferries have been sunk. The devastation here is pretty crazy. We are really going to need a lot of help, and if you're looking to donate, please go to my page. Please follow Hopetown Fire and Rescue, Hopetown Volunteer Fire and Rescue. Please find them on social media and follow them. If you can join the Hopetown Bulletin group, that has a lot of information, but we're going to need everything from drinkable water. We have no city water here. We only have cisterns. Most of the cisterns have been compromised and are now full of salt water, so we don't have any clean drinking water. We've all stocked up with small amounts of supplies that we, will run out shortly. So we're going to need everything to rebuild here.
So many heartbreaking stories are going to continue to come out of the Bahamas as we hear more and more people talking about what they're experiencing.
Little things like not having any clean drinking water, running out of supplies. Are going to need all of our help in the coming days and weeks as well.
Yep, it is heartbreaking for sure. The news station monitoring Hurricane Dorian as it continues to move away from the Bahamas northward.
And we will have expanded coverage around the clock for you. Coming up, we've got a warning about snakes. Also, be sure to download our Fox 35 weather app. It's where you can really get the very latest on Dorian's track. You can watch us live on that app as well, even if you end up losing power. 8:13 is your time. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
couple of years back, we saw a ton of that because even though Irma was ashore and over on the west end of the state, the center, we were on the east side. We were on the bad side. We were on the rotating side. We're not on that side of this hurricane, which is great news because, again, it is just so close. There's the center right now, again, sitting offshore. You can see the strongest winds now are located to the north and also to the south of the system and also out to the east, even farther away. Right now, tracking some of this heavier rain to this one band right here, moving again south. Another batch is on the way for Sebastian Inlet. And anytime you do get these heavier cells showing up in the, or lines, I should say, bands, in the yellow and in the orange, that is when your wind will amp up and go from 30, 40, all of a sudden it amps up to 50 and 60. Right now, Merritt Island just reported also a wind gust back out over towards one of the NASA sites of winds over 39 miles per hour. Rockledge, Vieira, and Melbourne, your wind also will be increasing soon. So just be aware you'll be picking up an extra 10 to 20 miles per hour outside with that next rain band. Also, some more rain blowing into New Smyrna and also into Oak Hill. Again, the center of circulation is currently sitting about 110 miles offshore. Kind of a beautiful, almost eerie sight right now. Live picture. This is in the I-Drive corridor. Looking out to the west, you kind of get a feel for some of these bands of showers moving in, but there's still actually on the west end of the state some sunshine that was going on today. They had a lot of sunshine again over towards the Tampa area. Again, you can see on a little wider view, we're kind of socked in with the clouds, but you can see all the breaks right now. That is the outer edge right here as you get out into Lake County of the real cloud deck as you get out to the west over towards Cedar Key and extending down towards about Tarpon Springs and into St. Pete Beach. Again, that area right now currently has clear skies. Again, so we're just under it. There's also that moderate storm surge that is currently going on. Right now, the surge is affecting across southern Brevard and also into Indian River County. But again, as we go through time, we're going to find that surge going farther and farther north. So the surge for you in southern Brevard and Indian River, that will start to actually drop within the next hour as your wind direction changes. We just checked in Sebastian, the wind went from northeast a few hours ago. It's now coming in out of the north-northwest. It's beginning to spin around, and that's great news with the storm surge. Expected wind gusts again as we go through the overnight, about 39 to 60 miles per hour, mainly along the coast. Again, so that's what we're expecting for the general gusts. Again, at times, though, you'll have a steady state wind of about 39, 40, 45 miles per hour. But again, that's going to be like right at the beach. Metro Orlando, wind gusts will be about 30 to 40 miles per hour overnight tonight. And again, be aware of some falling branches, debris again through Wednesday. So not just during the overnight, but also first thing tomorrow morning, the winds will still be strong. So again, there is going to be the potential still for some minor damage. Again, some tree limbs coming down and a few big branches. So be aware. This is 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. So again, when you wake up, this is going to be the exact location of Dorian. It's going to be sitting basically due east of about Flagler Beach. Should be sitting anywhere from 110 to 130 miles offshore. We'll still be getting some rain going on all through Volusia County, just like we have currently in Brevard. It'll be at that time sitting over Brevard or Volusia and Flagler County, and still some showers in Orlando with improving weather conditions down to the south in Brevard County. So again, Danielle and Stephen, again, the good news here for tonight, no widespread tornado event, nothing like that, so you can sleep easy. Just be aware we'll continue to track these rain bands as they move on in. We will be getting some of those wind gusts approaching hurricane strength over the next 6 to 7 hours.
All right, and we will be here live on Fox 35 to track it all. Thank you, sir. The destruction in the Bahamas is jaw-dropping.
Just can't stress enough some of the images that we have seen coming in. The news station talked with photographer Brandon Clement, who flew over the Abaco Islands. Go ahead and take a listen.
Went from just homes missing a few roofs, some outbuildings destroyed, very quickly to homes completely destroyed, to the communities completely destroyed and total destruction. Some of the barrier islands, some of the better built homes, they're definitely survivable, but weren't completely destroyed, but still had some significant damage. In the helicopter at the time, we were flying with 60-mile-an-hour winds. It was quite a rough ride. We didn't have a whole lot of gas because it's such a long flight to get there, and there's nowhere to refuel on the island because of the storm. So it was very quick. We had to go fast. We couldn't maneuver real well. Had to cover as much ground as we could as quickly as possible and get back. Saw people looting. Saw some people driving around the southern side of the island. Saw people trying to clear debris. I saw a little bit of everything. We can get down to one area called the Mud in Abaco. it was just complete destruction. It was a bunch of homes just looked like they were put in the blender, ground up, and just thrown back. So it is some areas that are just completely wiped out, annihilated.
You know, Stephen, the thing that's so heartbreaking when you look at this is there's so many miles of area that is completely flat, obliterate, no homes standing. It's just absolutely amazing to see that.
That's the key, like you said, Miles. I have covered in my career significant tornado outbreaks, EF5s, and you see even a half mile or a mile of total destruction. This is multiple miles that looks like a bomb hit it. It is so sad, and we can only hope that we here in the U.S. and other people can do what we can to help that area recover.
And this isn't something that's going to be days, weeks, months. This is going to be years long in terms of restoring to the Bahamas what it used to be. So we'll stay on top of this and continue to follow it. We're going to get more images like that, unfortunately, coming into our newsroom. In the meantime, the news station is monitoring Hurricane Dorian.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. Yeah, no surprise. The news station Brian Scott reports.
An odd few days to be in the amusement park business, tracking Dorian while trying to keep the doors open. And most of Disney World's parks did close early today. Some in town didn't open at all, but those that did chance it, well, they found a crowd. With little of Dorian to dodge, still dodging gators in the exhibits of Gatorland, a welcome change for many.
Definitely expected to wake up to, I don't know, high winds and dark storms, but clouds, and it's beautiful out.
Ryan Norton's family, storm stir crazy, were overjoyed to see the gates open here. It's something to do, a common story in this smaller,
we got lucky,
but smiling crowd.
You just never know with these hurricanes. You just got to play it by ear, day by day. But we opened up today, a little slow to start. People kind of seeing what was going to go on, but they're coming on in the park.
Each of the attractions having to make their own judgment call right now. Disney closing most parks early this afternoon, while Epcot and the Springs chance it into the early evening. Universal closed at 6, leaving City Walk open for the night, but SeaWorld shut down all day. Gatorland CEO Mark McHugh says it really is just a judgment call.
There you go.
Still, several of his trainers sleeping over with their Crocs and Gators tonight and throughout the storm. Like everyone, not looking past Dorian yet. but happy for the unexpected workday and the break for their crowd.
People going stir crazy.
And the stir crazy here, happy for these teeth instead of Dorian's today.
We've been waiting for it each day and hasn't came, so just riding it out, waiting.
Disney has announced to us that they are going to be open for regular hours tomorrow as of now. Same with Gatorland. Haven't heard from the other parks yet, obviously. Dorian still kind of setting the schedule, and we're waiting to see what happens with that storm. Outside of Walt Disney World, I'm Brian Scott, Fox 35 News.
The news station bringing you live team coverage of Hurricane Dorian.
We're checking back in with Chief Meteorologist Glenn Richards coming up next. Stay with us. Welcome back to our continuing coverage. Hurricane Dorian impacting Central Florida.
Let's check back in with the Chief Meteorologist Glenn Richards with the latest on Dorian's track. We're loving that it continues to go northward.
Yeah, almost due north, just a little to the west of due north, and that's just great news. Again, that's going to keep it a little bit farther offshore. Good news also tonight is the fact that the main core of wind, of course, is also going to be staying offshore. Right now, it is a weakening hurricane. Again, some dry air got pulled into it. Water temperatures have dropped somewhat, so overall, a much sicker-looking system tonight compared to the last several nights, no doubt. Right now, hurricane warnings are up along the coast. Tropical storm warnings inland does not include Osceola County, Polk County, Sumter County, western portions of Marion County, and does not include, if you're watching us on Fox 51, up in Gainesville. So you will not be getting tropical storm wind gusts up in those areas, which is great. This is just a great product to use. This is using our Doppler radar to analyze the wind motion within the tropical system. Looks kind of funky, but basically here's the eye. It's great data right here showing the strongest winds. Where are they at? Out to the east, 106 mile per hour wind there just a little while ago, sitting offshore, 96 in this whole zone in here. Notice again, it gets wrapped around, but it kind of dies out a little bit there. Then as you get south, it picks up again into the 90s. Look here, I've been tracking again the western edge of where we have the tropical storm force sustained winds. So again, winds right now blowing sustained right around 45, 46 miles per hour in Sebastian Inlet in southern Brevard. So that right now, if we track it, this is the front edge of that wind. So if you do live right now over in Cocoa and Cocoa Beach, your winds are just now increasing. So I'm sure you've noticed the winds pick up just recently. Where's that in a relationship to Daytona? So if you live up in Daytona Beach, that's about 63 miles to your south. If you take a look at the forward speed of the storm, kind of average it around 6 miles per hour, that means about 10 hours from now, these stronger winds will be up in Daytona. So what time is it now? It's 8 o'clock, so that's 10, 11, 12, so basically about 7 a.m. So about 6 to 7 a.m., that is when sustained winds of about anywhere from about 40 to 50 miles per hour will be moving up into Daytona Beach. So again, a great tool is to be able to use the Doppler radar and actually see where those winds are, where they're increasing along the coast, and of course, where they are going. Obviously, we know they're going to the north, but again, on the wider inspection, you can see the strongest winds are offshore. And again, right now, if you wanted to get out to, which we don't, if you wanted to get out to winds of around 50 miles per hour sustained or up to about 60, 70, so these are your hurricane force winds, you have to go about 50 to 60 miles offshore just to get into that type of sustained wind. So it really goes to show how the center of the system, definitely being farther to the east, has really helped us out. But again, if you're up in northern Volusia County, in about 10 more hours, that is when your winds will be increasing, again, as we track the system using our Guardian radar. You can see the western edge, again, of the steadier rain now moving in. We're just now getting some heavier rain moving into Seminole County, into the Lake Mary area. Wind direction is beginning to change already, which is great news with regards to your storm surge in southern Brevard and Indian River County down around Sebastian and extending up to the north. Earlier, we had winds coming in out of the north and northeast. Now we have winds coming in out of the northwest. And again, it looks like your showers will actually start to ease up a little bit because, again, more and more of that wind is coming from the land and not from the ocean. Now, farther to the north, still some heavier bands sitting offshore. Again, moving back towards the coastline. As we track some of this rain right now, some of the heavier rain, we are not finding any rotation within them, which is great news. We're getting gusty winds, but no threat of tornadoes right now. Haven't seen any rotation. That is not, again, this is live data always coming in, so I'm always watching for it. That is not a rotating storm right there, so we're fine. That's just some clutter. Again, with the radar itself, again, things are moving quickly. Everything is moving. The individual rain bands are moving 65 miles per hour, again, because the upper level environment has got, of course, so much energy coming in from Dorian. Dorian right now is sitting well off of our coastline, about 110 miles. So again, we're going to keep the main core of wind offshore. So heavy rain just now moving back into Satellite Beach, Palm Bay, and also through Melbourne. For about the next 10 to 25 more minutes, you will continue to have some stronger winds, again, with that next band. Now, the first main band is just now getting up into Flagler County. So up in Flagler Beach, rain's really going to pick up here in about another 20, 29 more minutes, and then eventually quickly moving through Volusia County. Look at this heavy stuff now blowing through Seminole County from Sanford down to Altamont Springs and Orlando. Again, just some heavy rain and some gusty winds. So Danielle and Stephen will continue to track these showers. Good news, no tornadoes to deal with currently, but definitely some strong winds and the potential of power outages, especially along the coast.
All righty, thanks for that update, Glenn. We appreciate it. Brevard County feeling Dorian's impact already. The news station's Lara Greenberg is live there tonight. I know earlier the winds were really blasting you. How is it now?
Just as bad as it was a little while ago, if not maybe even worse. We are really getting pelted right now with rain and that sand. It is just stinging our faces. I've been mostly standing with my back turned so that I'm, not taking it to the face. You can see the water is coming up and the wind is just blowing the water away. It's also blowing the sand away southward towards Melbourne. We're in the Atlantic right now. It's so severe, kind of eating that sand as we speak. So we're going to try and take cover, but I know a little while ago we were seeing like 45 mile per hour winds. I'm assuming at this point it's gotten a little worse. It is very severe right now. Nobody on the beach at this point. We'll keep monitoring the conditions. For now, we're going to send it back to you, Stephen, in the studio.
All righty, thank you, Lara, for that report. Stay safe out there for sure.
Absolutely. We just got some information here into our studios. This is from our very own David Martin. He just texted me this. He's staying in Daytona Beach in a hotel there. He says power is out along A1A in Daytona Beach, some stretches of it at least. He says he is also seeing some transformers popping as well. So we talked about the electricity going out in a lot of areas. That is one area where the electricity is going out. He's also seeing those transformers popping. And you can be sure that we'll be seeing more of this as time goes on. True. So that's just one of many reports we're probably going to be getting here coming into our newsroom.
For sure. Now in Flagler County, a curfew is in effect along the coast up there.
The news station's David Bowden. He is there live for us with that part of the story. David, good evening. What are you saying?
Well, I can tell you that back here, Flagler Beach is empty. That curfew, as you said, going into effect at 7 o'clock tonight. The winds here have changed dramatically. Take a look over there. You can see those trees just whipping in the winds as Dorian continues to draw closer.
This is the Flagler County Sheriff's Office. There is a 7 p.m. curfew in effect. Please evacuate the area or remain in your homes.
The Flagler County Sheriff's Office emergency response team working to keep residents and visitors safe. As the winds pick up on the beach, it's time to take Dorian as a serious storm. The time for sightseeing is over. Josephine Thompson is watching and says she's recalling being here on the beach as Matthew roared by this area in 2016.
A lot of folks, they lost a lot of, their belongings in terms of their homes, in terms of the flooding. So yeah, that's a big concern. We're at least a little bit inland, but my biggest concern and prayers are for them.
There you go. You ready to get out of here?
Absolutely. I got to go. The police are saying goodbye.
Dave Warning says he knows Dorian will do some damage. He just hopes the storm is far enough away and the damage is held to a minimum this time.
It's going to happen again. I'm just hoping that at least down there on that end with the work they've got going on, that it's braced up enough that it doesn't tear up what they've done and affect the people that actually live or have their businesses right there on that side.
Well, I can tell you the winds have picked up here, and all we can do at this point is watch and wait. Law enforcement has been traveling back and forth up and down A1A, making sure that everyone is safe. No one's here on this beach area, that they are back at home or across that bridge. They're not letting anybody come back this way, but they will let folks go off of the island as they can. So we're going to continue to monitor this situation here. We'll let you know whatever happens here with Dorian. For now, we are live on Flagler Beach. I'm David Bowden, Fox 35 News.
All righty, thank you, David, for that update up there. For the inland counties, flooding could be a problem.
The news station's Jessica Albert is live in Lake County with an update on that. Jessica, and where David was, he saw a lot of wind. You're not seeing as much wind where you are. I just saw a lightning strike, though, behind you.
Oh, did you? Oh, well, there's no wind here really right now. We had some rain on and off today. Lake County leaders are expecting this section of the St. Johns River to reach moderate flood stage by tomorrow morning here in Astor. They're telling people who live along the river here to make sure that they're prepared for the potential of flooding. Rain showers came and went in Astor throughout the day.
I don't like hurricanes at all.
The rain caused flooding on roads in some of the neighborhoods. It was about ankle deep. But taking a look around Astor, there weren't a whole lot of people around.
No traffic at all. It's like I'm the only one driving.
Until we stopped here, a restaurant called Sparky's Place. Lots of people stopped here for lunch.
So we've had a little bit of business staying steady, and we're going to stay open until the power goes out, as we're told by the owners. So.
Many of the people and businesses hunkered down ahead of Hurricane Dorian. The community flooded badly during Irma 2 years ago. Astor is located along the St. Johns River. All eyes are on the river, which is already at flood stage. This couple has a houseboat on it.
My husband has to keep the ropes adjusted to protect the boat. We battened everything down because we're on the St. Johns River, like I said, in Putnam County. So
people in Astor are hoping the river doesn't rise much more and cause more flooding than just the ponding they're already seeing.
I'm not really worried about it myself, but I mean, anything could happen in like the next 1 or 2 days or next day. So, I mean, it's just better to be prepared or ready for anything.
The shelters in Lake County are still open tonight for anyone who plans to evacuate due to any potential flooding. They're expected to be open until the storm passes. Reporting live in Astor tonight, Jessica Albert, Fox 35 News.
All right, Jessica, thank you very much. The news station is monitoring every aspect of Hurricane Dorian.
And we have expanded coverage around the clock. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Coverage of Hurricane Dorian here on Fox 35. And new tonight, watch out for snakes.
That is because a trapper catching a cottonmouth water moccasin in somebody's yard today. The news station's Evan Fitzgerald reports.
I'm here with local snake expert Bob Crossan for a particular reason. Obviously, with the storm coming, there are dangers of all sorts, but one in particular is right here with us. Can you explain where you found this guy right here?
This is a cottonmouth water moccasin. And all snakes during flooding times like to move to higher ground. I compare the cottonmouth water moccasin to an alligator. They like to lay near the water, but not in the water. So during storms and flooding, they all go to higher ground, and that's where this snake was. It was up next to a garage door.
I'm sure that was quite a surprise for the homeowner.
The lady of the house told me yes. She said she opened the garage door and took a step out, and there it was right in front of her. She's very lucky, actually. She stepped, she said, within 2 feet of the snake.
A pretty good sized snake as well. I mean, an impressive animal to look at, but certainly one that you have to be very, very careful of.
Yes, this cottonmouth's 4 feet exactly, and any cottonmouth over 4 feet is a respectable snake. They'll grow to 6 feet, world record being 6'2". And this is an older snake. The younger ones are very colorful, and people don't even recognize them as cottonmouths, but as they get older, they turn darker, and this snake's almost all black, and I'm guessing he's 10 years or more.
What is sort of the advice that you give people for safety?
I would say the biggest concern would be cleanup after the storm moves through. Snakes like to hide underneath palmetto fronds, boards, plywood have been laying on the ground, blown off, whatever. If you're bitten by a venomous snake, you want to call 911. Thank goodness nowadays with helicopters and anti-venom, the chance of dying is very slim. Only except with children, it's venom versus body mass. So if you've got a big snake like this one, and then you take a small child gets bit, it's going to be, life and death. It's going to be tough. You and I, if we were to get bit by this snake, we'd be in the hospital probably a week, and the first few days would not be fun, but we would make it. So it's body mass versus venom.
Well, certainly we're glad that there are people who know what they're doing like you around here to make sure that we are safe. Bob Cross, thank you so much for joining us.
Certainly.
That'll get you looking twice.
The pretty safe distance away from that snake as well. That was huge,
That
wasn't
thing
it?
was so fat.
Yeah.
The news station continuing to monitor Hurricane Dorian.
We certainly are. We're going to take a break, though. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
All right, good evening. Dorian still a Category 2, winds 110 miles per hour. Hurricane working its way slowly north and west at about 6 miles per hour. So it is moving. It made that move yesterday and now continues to make a slow move now to the north, and that is going to continue through the night and then begin to accelerate later in the day tomorrow. Right now, the hurricane warnings are still up along our east coast for the potential of the hurricane wind gusts. But right now, not finding any, but we are definitely getting strong tropical storm gusts along our coast and tropical storm gusts inland. So 30-mile-per-hour wind just a little while ago over in Palm Coast, 39 in Sanford, the highest so far, 45 miles per hour out over in the Melbourne area. So let's talk about those winds. And again, so important again to see exactly where the winds are and how long it's going to get to move towards you. Again, the strongest winds, look at this, 114 miles per hour right here. We're using our Doppler radar to look inside again and analyze this actual Hurricane Dorian sitting out to the east. You can see the strongest winds are all east of the center. We, of course, are west of the center. But what's interesting is to track how the strong winds are beginning to move up from the south along the coastline. So watch the colors change and go into a deeper red and also the yellow. So again, these are the stronger winds starting to pick up, but the strongest winds are down here in the yellow. So again, these are your tropical storm force sustained winds. And right now they are located to the south of New Smyrna Beach by about 30 miles. Again, this is moving forward at a forward speed from south to north at 5. So in about 5 to 6 more hours, the winds up in New Smyrna will pick up even more. So just a heads up for you on that. Also, right now, the offshore waters, that is where we do have sustained winds of hurricane strength. They are currently sitting about 50 to 60 miles off of the east coast now of Flagler County. So just be aware that is where they are located. And that really goes to show how that extra jog, 40, 50 miles made all the difference in the world. If it was 50 miles near to us, again, off of our east coast, we would be dealing with right now widespread tropical storm force winds and then hurricane force winds along our coast. But instead, we are dealing with rain bands and tropical storm force winds mainly. And you can see on radar, many reports coming in right now. Every time you see those little circles pop up with a little swirly in the middle, that's a tropical storm. That's an indication of tropical storm force gusts. Again, a moderate rain coming down, and at times you get in the yellow is your more heavier rain. The most intense rain, of course, shows up as the red. It's interesting right now, but that's because we have some leftover heat of the day. Look how the heaviest rain is actually inland right now, moving through Lake Mary, Sanford, and now moving down into Metro Orlando. But again, mainly light showers, windy, drizzle, miserable right now. And again, sustained tropical storm force winds down in Sebastian Inlet. Looking for tornadoes, not finding any, thank goodness. Earlier we had one tornado. One storm was rotating a bit, again, in the Hurricane or the National Weather Service local office in Melbourne. Thought it was enough to pop off a tornado warning, so they did. But again, thank goodness nothing did in fact form. There was no reports of any damage. Same thing going on off of Volusia County. We're not finding any rotation. We are getting a couple of lightning strikes. Notice it right here at the end. Watch the pops. Again, usually don't get a lot of lightning, but we're getting some. It just goes to show how heavy that band is. That one intense band in red is moving ashore right now through Flagler and Volusia County. So here's the center of Dorian, again, slowly drifting to the north at about 6 miles per hour. The western side, I know it looks larger, but actually we just can't see. The radar beam just isn't strong enough to get all the way through, but there's just a ton of rain out to the east. What we're seeing, of course, is between, is near to us, so we can see that. Also, we have the warm Gulf Stream waters right here offshore, so that does continue to keep Dorian maintained with winds of 110 miles per hour. So tracking the rain right now, Satellite Beach and Melbourne. Again, the rain does continue, but as you can see, the heaviest rain is staying offshore. And watch how it's not coming at you. It's staying and it's curling back around. So this is not going to come at you, but occasionally you'll get a little piece, a little bit of energy will clip off of it and then come at you and give you those wind gusts back up to 50, maybe 60 miles per hour. But right now you just have a steady tropical storm force sustained wind. A little farther to the north, this rain here is the one producing the lightning. You can see them right there over towards just south of Flagler Beach and Ormond Beach. Again, it is putting out some very heavy rain and some wind gusts that are tropical storm strength. Inland right now, heavy rain in Sanford. Lake Mary now moving down into Metro Orlando, and farther to the south, also Kissimmee, just about ready to get in on the rain. It's just starting up, and the rain beginning to pick up down towards Point Siena and also into Lake Wales. Right now, the center, as promised, 110 miles. We talked about it 2 days ago. Brooks Tomlin and I, during the evening hours, were really breaking down the models and exactly how much of that turn it was going to be. Our best estimate, again, was that the center was going to be anywhere from 70 to 100 miles off of our coastline. Right now, it is 110 miles offshore of Brevard County. Here's the forecast for the winds picking up overnight tonight. When will the peak winds occur? Looks like it's going to start up right around 3 to 4 a.m. This is just before 3. These will be your wind gusts. 41 in Titusville, 37 in Melbourne, 36 in Daytona. Notice how it all begins to work its way north. The winds will be picking up in Flagler County at Palm Coast at 36 miles per hour, 39 in Daytona. In Orlando, a west-northwest wind. Tomorrow at about 6 a.m., that wind will be blowing around 30 to 31. As we get into the latter part of the morning, around 8 to 9 a.m., there goes the center moving north. And notice how our wind direction really starts to change. The winds will start to come down, but still a very breezy to windy day expected all across central Florida. So again, there's potential of some still power lines coming down even first thing in the morning, especially along the coast. And then eventually by 7 o'clock in the evening tomorrow, in good shape. The winds will be winding down and the skies will be clearing. So expect wind gusts of 39 to 60 miles per hour overnight along the coastline. Metro Orlando, again, out into eastern Lake County, Seminole County, again, the metropolitan area, we're expecting about 30 to 40 mile per hour winds overnight tonight. There will be some gusts at times, a little bit higher. And again, the storm surge is right now building north into Volusia County. So the storm surge of 3 to 4 feet in Brevard and Indian River, that's starting to come down as the wind direction is changing. But again, in Volusia County, storm surge is now moving up towards you at about a rate of 6 miles per hour. Again, all that is being pushed out ahead of it. And again, right now we're expecting the strongest surge to be occurring around 4 to 5 a.m. up in Volusia County. We'll continue to track the rain and much more on Dorian coming up.
All right. Thanks so much, Glenn. We certainly do appreciate it. The news station does continue to monitor Hurricane Dorian.
It's raining in downtown Orlando. A live look now outside. Other places getting hit even harder. Parts of Seminole County coming down hard. That will be continuing for the next many hours, and we'll be here to hold your hand, walk you through it, tell you what's going on as we continue our live 24-hour coverage of Hurricane Dorian on Fox 35. Stay with us.
Remember, the hurricane warnings continue along the coastline. That is where we're expecting hurricane force wind gusts and inland tropical storm force wind gusts. So that's 39 miles per hour or more. This is what we're talking about. Again, this one band showing up in the red. Again, moving on through, not severe, you know, a little bit of lightning earlier up around Volusia County and Flagler County. Just some heavier rain right now, pushing down to the south. Again, moving through Metro Orlando, western Orange County, and extending farther down to the south. Back over towards the coastline, we just have a steadier rain that is going on. And this is the main area of wind and rain back along the coastline. So let's focus in on that, because, again, that is where we are definitely getting the stronger winds right now. Again, we've been having winds mainly out of the north and northeast, but they are beginning to change now, coming in out of the northwest. A little while ago, we had some tropical storm wind gusts over 39 miles per hour, but just notice recently, you don't see any. Doesn't surprise me, because that means that the winds are beginning to turn in from the northwest, which means they're coming in from the land. And because they're coming in from the land, they're going to be a little bit weaker. But a little farther to the north, we're expecting to see the winds increasing now. This would be northern Brevard County, Titusville, and extending up towards Edgewater. Remember now that Dorian is moving to the north at about 6 miles per hour, maybe a little bit more. We'll see soon. But again, the strongest winds are showing up out here in the yellow. This is where we definitely have sustained tropical storm force winds. But notice as they get a little bit near, they begin to curl back. So it really just goes to show this distance, which is really only about 10 miles or so, 10 to 15 miles, makes all the world a difference. So again, if the system, if the center of Dorian was maybe 20 miles near to the coastline, we would have all up and down the coast, definitely everybody, with tropical storm sustained winds, and then at times the hurricane gusts. But right now we're just not seeing that. What we're getting is mainly winds right around 30, 35, at times around 40, and occasionally some stronger gusts. A little farther down to the south, again, the same deal. Kind of see some of this energy is going to get pushed over towards the coastline. So I do expect to see the winds picking up again over in Melbourne and also down towards Sebastian Inlet. Are there any rotating storms or tornadoes? Not finding any. Again, what we would normally see would be like embedded within this green area here where the winds are running in one direction. You would see basically like a little red swirl, a little red circle moving on down. When we had Irma at one time, I remember the one image with Irma out on the west coast and we were on the east side of the storm, we actually had about 22 rotating storms within about a 10-minute period. It was crazy. They were all over the place. So rotating storms, we had water spouts, we had tornadoes coming ashore, but because we were on the west side of the storm tonight, notice we're not seeing that at all. We had one tornado warning earlier. That storm quickly dissipated again after producing some wind gusts, but that was it. Right now, also farther north and northern Brevard County are looking good. We do not see anything offshore Volusia County, so I know that's always the concern when we have a rotating tropical system. But again, we're on the west side, and I do not see any at all rotating storms even way offshore out over the warm Gulf Stream waters. So that's great news. So again, the risk of tornadoes is very low through the night tonight. We're mainly just looking at the gusty winds. And you can see again the effect of the Gulf Stream. Look how again this area of rain in yellow is picking up and again starting to swirl back towards Brevard County. But just as it gets real close, it's going to peel back off towards the east. So again, it really goes to show just how important that little shift today was. So tracking the rain right now, that will be increasing. We're tracking the leading edge of this. So the wind will be increasing in Satellite Beach and also in Palm Bay. It looks like it may make it to Palm Bay. It will make it to Satellite Beach, but then it's again going to get pulled back offshore because of the counterclockwise rotation again around Dorian. Now this here is moving towards the coastline. So Flagler Beach and Daytona, you currently have some gusty winds, but look at the stronger winds offshore showing up in the yellow again coming at you. Here's the heavy stuff now around Metro Orlando. DeLand, you just had some lightning, heavy rain now moving just to the west. Excuse me, of Altamont Springs, Orlando, and also a little farther down to the south over towards Kissimmee. So in Kissimmee, just some light showers now. Point Siena, you're just getting in on some heavier rain and some heavier stuff just out to your west. But again, here's the core. And again, look at the eye. 110 miles offshore, making a tremendous amount of difference. Looking at radial velocity, again, with the Guardian radar live right now, also showing in the green, no rotation over land. So we continue to be in good shape there as we animate it along. Again, you can see them spiraling down towards us, but again, no rotation. So the good news here, Danielle and Stephen, even though we are getting those sustained winds now over tropical storm force across Brevard and now into southern Volusia County, we are not finding any rotating storms, no tornadoes.